Hey guys, James Diamond here, and welcome to the next episode of Trance Takeover here on Sonic Academy. In the last few episodes, we were looking at the melodic stuff to really up the ante on the kind of trance feel. It's really starting to come together now. And in this episode, we're going to be looking at the vocals. Now, it is kind of a vocal track. It's got these lovely kind of vocal ad-libs and some kind of, vocal phrases. This is really right up my street. This is exactly what I love to do. So if there's any references that I can give, it's going to be some of my tracks. So stuff like Push, It Ain't Over, my collab with Chris Schweizer, Spectrum. They've all got these kind of small vocal phrases which are saturated in reverb at certain parts or chopped up, and they really just help to give that incredible atmosphere that you want in a trance track. They really elevate it to something different. You take them away, yes, the track still sounds good, but in my opinion, these kind of vocals are fantastic. So we've got quite a lot to get through. We're going to start off with the vocal chops. So I've got the main vocal here that you would have heard in the demo, and when I was going through trying to work out what to do with it, what I like to do is just to kind of chop up each individual section and kind of work out and see what it sounds like just as a single chop itself. So if I just play this section here, and then we go to the next one, and then the next one, burning through. And I kind of go through and see which bit sounds nice, and I came to the conclusion that it was this bit here. Always, always, always. So what we're going to do is I'm going to undo all of that I've just done, and then I'm just going to simply take the word always there, and let's go back to the start because I don't want to quite do it with the chord change yet. So I'm going to take this word always, and then I'm going to take the ending here, which I really liked. Back to the start. So we're going to take that section as well, and we're going to move that to its corresponding place in the mix, which I believe is here. And then I really like this last word here, stars, and I'm just going to take that, chop that one little section, put it in like this, and then we're going to move them across, and let's just quickly see how that sounds. It's going to sound a bit funky to begin with. Always, always. So maybe let's actually move it to the last part of the bar. Always, always. That sounded alright, and then at the ends, back to the start. So it sounded okay, nothing special at the moment. Let's go ahead and add some effects. First thing we want to do is add an EQ. There's quite a bit of those low end pops, so let's remove those. Always, always. Okay, still a little bit of a pop in there, so maybe we can try removing that to begin with. That's better. So now what I want to do, I really want to now just kind of saturate this in the reverb and delay like I was saying. So we're going to be using Valhalla Supermassive, amazing plugin. It's free as well, a free plugin which is fantastic. I use this every single track. It is so good. And we can see the settings here. We've got 31.3% in the mix. We may play around with that. It's a long delay for 46% feedback. If you don't really know the plugin, you won't really know these kind of settings, but I definitely guarantee having a look at it. If you're not too familiar, or you want to kind of go with something that you're more familiar with, then use, for example, the Fruity Delay, or maybe Art Acoustics also works really well with this. What we are doing though, to point out, is that we have the low cut quite high, 700 hertz, and then the high cut very high, so it's up to down to 1780 hertz. We only really want the mid-range of the reverb playing. Always, always. So we can hear just that mid-range is playing, and it's sounding really nice. Let's go ahead and add some delay to it. Now we really want to get big kind of crazy delay going, and we want to hear just quite a lot of delay. So you might have noticed I'm putting the delay after the reverb. And this is quite a cool technique when you want to kind of make something sound very spacey. Use the delay after the reverb, because we're also delaying the reverb sound itself. Whereas before, when we might have had the delay before, so we're having the delay of the initial signal, which is being delayed, and then that delay is having reverb added onto it. We're doing it the other way around. We're having the initial signal having the reverb, and then the delay is going on to the reverb and everything else. It gives this very nice kind of spacey feeling. So that's starting to sound really nice. Let's just maybe reduce that pop a little bit by just putting a small kind of fade in at the start. That's sounding nicer. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to add our old favourite, the Molotok compressor on. Now, I want to have quite a long release, because what I want to do here, I want to compress all of that together. And I really want to kind of make it kind of squish down, so you get a massive saturation of kind of everything on it. So the reverb, the delay, and the compression. So the compressor there is really just kind of pulling it all together, and it's allowing the reverb and delay to continue on. We could see that with the slow release, that it was allowing the compressor to still be acting while the delay was still playing. So let's have a listen to see how that sounds within the mix. So that's sounding really nice. When it comes to the structuring, we may just want to have this, maybe just remove it. Maybe it's playing one too many times. Now, it sounded really nice, but what I want to do, I want to add the Haas effects on, which we looked at in a previous episode. Remember, we did 12.1 milliseconds split between the left and right channels, which gives that nice wideness to it. And we may come to change that, but it's worth noting that we can put that on just to get a bit more kind of space to it. So that's what it is for the vocal chops. Let's remove that section there. Let's go ahead and just copy these over. Let's hear how it sounds with everything else. Now that's really helping to add just that extra final bit of atmosphere that we were lacking for that section there. So let's go ahead and look at the ad-libs. So the ad-libs have been provided in this pack also. And let's just go ahead and see. I believe there were 135. Yep, so I'm just going to stretch them to 135 BPM. Now with these ad-libs, again, these are just going to be used kind of very softly in the mix. There's not really going to be much use for them other than this section between the intro and the breakdown. So let's just have a very quick listen, and I'm just going to go ahead and add some EQ onto this. Now what I want to do is I just want to chop out again a lot of the bottom and a lot of the high. I just really want to hear the mid-range. So that's sounding quite nice. Let's go ahead and add on our delay. Again, you can kind of see the kind of reappearing techniques here. It's just the delay and the reverb is all that's doing it to create the atmosphere. Especially with these backing kind of things, not really a lot needs to go into it. Let's increase the kind of feedback, so how long it takes before it stops. And then let's add some huge reverb to it. We want to make this really, really, really spacey. Starting to sound really nice. And you might be thinking, well, they're not actually really that much in time. It looks like this one could kind of move forward, but I quite like that. These are only ad-libs. They don't have to be exactly on time. They're just there for the atmosphere and the breakdown. And it's quite nice that they're not on time. It kind of gives a little bit more of a natural feeling to it. So next step, let's have a look at the actual vocal phrase itself. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail because this isn't a vocal track, so to speak. It's more of a kind of vocal addition, a vocal ad-lib on top. So I'm not really going to go through the full vocal processing chain, as that would require an entire video by itself. And for the sake of this kind of remix kind of competition and the course that we're working on, it's not really a vocal track in itself. So let's just have a look at how we can create we use these vocals to create something nice, which is just going to sit in the breakdown like you would have heard in the demo track, and it's just going to be there to enhance. So first of all, we're going to add a compressor, and again we're going to keep the ratio at 4, and the attack, we're probably going to want to have quite a fast attack to begin with. We can see there's quite a lot of dynamic change in this. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by adding the compressor. Then I'm going to just show you another little trick. We're just going to manually go through and kind of level out some of these words. So let's just solo it.
Echoes of love is all I've ever found. Echoes of you are just echoing around. Feelings that slip away, burning through my heart. Always I run away.
Okay, so we're just taking down some of those larger peaks that you could see. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and just kind of up the volume on each of these.
Echoes of love is all I've ever found. Echoes of you are just echoing around.
And what I'm doing here, I'm just kind of using my eyes to get this to be around about the same level of consistency in terms of how loud the individual sections get. And we can see here that this word really needs to come up quite a lot.
Echoes of love is all I've echoes of love is all I've.
And then let's maybe just increase the fade in on that. It sounds a bit too sudden.
Echoes of love is.
You can start to hear the compressors working quite hard there.
Echoes of love is.
So let's just pull that back down again.
Echoes of love is all I've ever found. Of you are just echoing around. Feelings that slip away, burning through my heart.
So we want to bring down the word heart there. It's just a little bit too harsh. It's going to be pushing on the compressor a lot. And bring up this little phrase before.
Burning through my. Always I run away, right back to the start.
Okay, there we go. So now we can see that we've kind of visually made each section just that little bit more consistent. So now let's go ahead and put the compressor back on.
Always I run away, right back to the start. Echoes of love is all I've ever found. Echoes of you.
So that's now starting to sound a little bit more consistent. So let's go ahead and add some EQ. It's a pretty decent sample to begin with. And like I said, because it's not a full vocal track, we don't really need to go too heavily on the processing here. We just want it to kind of sit nicely within the track, but it's only going to be used for very certain small sections, so you don't have to do too much EQ. So start off with a low cut just to remove any of those pops and clicks, and then just add some high end to it.
Always I run away, right back to the start. Echoes of love is.
So that's sounding a little bit cleaner. It is quite a lot of boosting there, like 5.6 dB, but again, because we're just using it for a few small sections, it's only 16 bars long, I think we can get away with it. So now let's add on some delay. I'm going to use a ping pong, and again we're going to use the high cut.
Always I run away, right back to the start.
So I like the sound of that, but I'm going to use this tone kind of knob here, and this kind of brings down the high end. So we've kind of got our high pass, and then which is bringing up, you know, taking away the low end, and now we can kind of control this again, and we can bring out the high end, or we can kind of take it away again.
Echoes of love is all I've ever found. Echoes of you are just echoing around.
Kind of like working like a bandpass filter. So now we've kind of got the top end of the reverb of the delay taken away as well. And again, we're going to use the Supermassive, and we've got this preset vocal blur. Very easy.
Echoes of love is all I've ever found.
And voila, there we go. How easy was that? Just to get that nice vocal sounding better in the mix. So let's have a listen to see what we've got now. I just extended the plucks and the pads for the breakdown just so we can hear what it's like in context.
Echoes of love is all I've ever found. Echoes of you are just echoing around. Feelings that slip away.
So sounding really nice already, and you see barely any work to it. Now that's because the vocal itself was pretty good to begin with. You know, the actual sound of it didn't sound too muffled. The recording was pretty good. Yes, we had to do a little bit of work in the dynamic kind of range, but once we've got that sorted, very simple to then just get the rest done and get it nicely sitting in the mix. So that's it. Next episode we're going to be looking at the main lead, and then we're going to be getting onto the structuring, and we can go from there and have fun putting the track all together. I'll see you then. All right, bye bye.